ACLU has come under scrutiny from this same news outlet over the last several years for equipping untrained workers with the ability to process ballot applications in a scheme that could definitely undermine election integrity without question. Joining me live now to discuss this is the founder of Gateway Pundit, Jim Hoft. Jim, of course, you get labeled as a conspiracy theorist and a guy that wears a tinfoil hat, but I'll say this. I'd rather wear a tinfoil hat like I do, apparently, than the blindfold being passed around for Democrats. I mean, that's just, these people don't see anything, they don't hear anything, and they trust the government. What happened to the Democrats of 1970, Jim? Don't trust authority, push back, question the government. Now it's like more government, stand in line. What happened to those people?
I think that's a day long gone. I know that there are some Democrats out there that I really appreciate. I'm a friend, I would say, with Robert Kennedy Jr. I like a lot of the things he's saying. In fact, I think he fits nicely in with MAGA on a lot of issues. But unfortunately, what we've seen, just as another example today, we've seen these Proud Boy operatives who were in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, and they're getting put in prison for over 15 years apiece for attending this rally.
And, I just saw it come down. 17 years. I just saw that come down. I want to comment on RFK just for a moment here, because I agree with you. And whether you agree with all of his policies or not, because on guns, we don't agree, all right? We'll just say that. But he's honest, and he puts it out there, and he's well-read, and he's certainly about 100 points higher on the IQ scale than Joe Biden and most of the Democrats. So RFK Jr. is a bright individual who offers an alternative view of the world and appreciates the free speech of this country and the Constitution. And I think the Democrats would be well served if they looked at what he's saying and doing and saying, hey, maybe we should talk about this instead of attacking him all the time. Just my 2 cents, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead, they push him to the side and call him the conspiracy theorist as they're pushing all of this green energy nonsense that's going to crush our country. It already has. And the trans movement that they push, the porn in children's libraries, that's what they think is, legitimate for American culture today. When Robert Kennedy Jr. is just basically saying a lot of the same things we say. So I'm glad there are people like Robert Kennedy Jr. out there, because not every Democrat is a complete Marxist or loon today. There's several good Democrats out there. Let me just say that. All right.
Right. No, it's true. He's not just a stool pigeon. Look, he's a traditional Democrat, and we'll have our legitimate differences, but we can have a conversation. You can't have a conversation with these modern-day Democrats at all. They shut you down. They silence you. They try to cancel you. You certainly know that you've been on the receiving end of cancel culture a number of times yourself, Jim. Now, before we get too far gone here, let's talk about this ACLU scheme, for lack of a better term. Tell me what you found. Tell me what you learned. What are you reporting?
Yes, so our reporter, Brian Lupo, advanced this story. We already knew at Gateway Pundit, and we reported back in 2020 during the election, right after the election, that Georgia was hiring a lot of these far-left groups to work during the elections. This was Gabriel Sterling. He's an officer in Georgia. He reports to Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, and he bragged about this. He actually went online and did an interview with some far-left groups and bragged about how they were hiring the ACLU and Black Lives Matter and different groups who were going to work the elections. So that all happened. Paul Sperry did a report recently on that. He's an investigative reporter. And Brian Lupo, our reporter, dug deeper into this and then found that they actually had some access that were quite surprised that they would give to election workers and some independents. In the fact, Brian believes, and he found this in a podcaster that had pushed this theory that they were given access to actually manipulate some of the votes, record the votes, eliminate votes, which is just shocking. But so anyway, that was the report that Brian put out there.
Jim. Yeah, okay, so how does nobody say, wait a second, you can't do that? I mean, it brings into question the honesty of those on the other side. Do the rules just not matter? Cheat to win? You know, the outcome is all that matters. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's the outcome, the outcome, the outcome. I mean, you look around what happened in 2020 around this country, and people say, yeah, that seems to be all they cared about was the outcome. Because common sense dictates that 2020 didn't line up quite the way that it was reported. Let's just say that. Jim, do you think that's fair?
Oh, I think that's absolutely fair. And that goes with a lot of our reporting from day one. In fact, we had even video we put up from Georgia a couple years ago that shows one of these election operatives walking, and she's filming herself as she walks into work in the back rooms of the State Farm Center in Atlanta, Georgia. And there's stacks of ballots here and there and lying around. And she goes in her separate cube, and she has her own opinions about the elections. We looked that up. And she's got her own stack, and there's nobody really looking over her shoulder. She has all this access. She has all this ability to push, put in ballots and put in information any way that she can, because there's no supervisors or observers looking over her shoulder. It's unbelievable how shoddy this election appeared to be in Georgia, and we would even say in several states. And of course, Steve, the results were just completely they didn't add up for a lot of reasons, as we all believe.